today I'm going to talk about the game Ogre Deluxe Edition from Steve Jackson Games in 1987. There's other editions of Ogre. It's been around a while and it still is around. For instance, the Pocket Edition. I'm doing this one because I particularly like the map and components and everything, and it's from the 80s. Ogre Deluxe Edition. It's kind of basic art, but at least it gives you, it's colorful and looks good on a shelf. 11.5 by 9.5 or so. The classic game of battle against a merciless robot foe. Back of the box gives you a little bit of theme. Program to destroy. The command post is well guarded. Tanks, hovercraft, missile cannon, and infantry in battle suits. All with one job. To defend that vital base. Your mission is to go in and destroy it. Alone. But when those defenders see you, they'll wish they were somewhere else, because you're not a man. You're a thinking machine, the deadliest device on any battlefield. You're the ogre. It's a 2-player game, but it can be done in solitaire as well. So as far as components, I'm kind of a completist, I guess you'd say. So unfortunately in this game, it didn't come with the rules, but my understanding in talking to the board game geek community, that basically the Pocket Edition rules are functionally the same. They're formatted a little bit different, of course, smaller size, etc. But they're functionally the same, so I'll be going by those. And then as far as other components, there's counters with stands, and I found it's useful to do some counter management box. You can have these loose in your box, it's fine. But then there's these little kind of marker things, which is good to have a little thing to have them in. So a good mix of counters. There's not as many stands as there are counters, but there's enough stands to get you through all the variations you'll do in the play. I think it's, for the day, it's pretty well done. And again, these little markers for indicating the levels of different things in your damage, etc. Comes, with the dice, and it's kind of an interesting dice. Not to get too hung up on it, but I'm not quite sure what kind of plastic that is. And it's kind of soft, I guess to say. So there's several counters that come with it, but I'll focus on the unique types. So there's the ogres. There's a Mark V, a Mark III, and the front and backs. These are basically the same. There's a howitzer for the non-ogre troops. I guess they kind of frame this as ogre being the good guy, but it depends on your frame of reference. Heavy tank, missile tank. This is the command post. A GEV. And as far as infantry, there's these are how many infantry are basically how big the squad is, and this is 3 infantry, 2 infantry, 1 infantry. So they're the unique units. As I said, there's a lot. There's plenty of units here. Then as far as the map, one thing I really like about this version of it, so every version has its pluses, but one thing I like about games is when they have a hard board, and then they have all the information you need on the board, and this accomplishes both those criteria, which is great. And this is the same map that you would get in the Pocket Ogre, same color and everything, except of course the size is much bigger, since the pieces are bigger. It's very functional and good. Playing area itself, these are craters, these are rubble, and these are clear spaces. And everything beyond here and back is called the obstructed area, and this is a non-obstructed area. Nothing can move through a crater or into a crater. Certain units can move through rubble, that being only the ogre and infantry can move through the rubble. And then up here, so this is where they track information. Heavy tank, missile tank, GV, howitzer, infantry. There's an attack, a range, a defense, and movement for each of these. The number of units dictates. This isn't like this. This is actually the number of units. Combat results table. Then the ogre, also in other versions, like Pocket Edition, for instance, you have to kind of maintain a sheet and then check off values of things. But this is, you can all do it on here. And so you use these little to mark levels. Where here. This goes in multiples 20, so like a Mark V would have, so it shows the yellow are the Mark V and the green are the Mark III. The Mark V has has 60 treads, so you go down 23 times. Each time you go down 20, you lose 1 movement. In the Mark V, the missiles are, you have 6. In the Mark III, you have 2. And there's a typo on here. The defense for the main attack batteries and the secondaries is not what it should be. Basically, the defense for the main batteries is 4, and the defense for the secondaries is 3 instead of 2. But it's easy to fix that kind of mentally. Is that, I mean, the 4 is for attack. Just view that 4 as applying to attack and defense, and just ignore that. And view that attack 3 as applying to the defense of all or the 2. So secondaries, there's 6 secondaries for Mark V, 4 for Mark III. Anti-personnel weapons, there's 12 for Mark V, 8 for Mark III. It's a 2-player game with the units fighting against the Ogre. The non-Ogre units are defending their base. So it's victory if all defending units are destroyed, complete Ogre victory. Command post is destroyed, and the Ogre escapes, it's an Ogre victory. If the command post and Ogre is destroyed, it's a marginal victory. If it's not destroyed, but Ogre escapes, a marginal defense victory. If command post beside Ogre destroyed, defense victory. Command post and all, at least 30 attack points of defense, survive, complete defense victory. And then the advanced scenario, same, except the defense gets 30 points and 20 armor units. Howitzers count double, and a Mark V Ogre instead of a Mark III. And the defender must destroy the Ogre while preserving his command post and at least 50 attack points. So. And then it gives rules for solo play. So you basically play both sides as you'd expect. Okay, I'll show a setup here. And I'm going to do the basic scenario, which involves a Ogre Mark III. So first of all, for the Mark III, its stats are the Mark III has 2 missiles indicated there, has 1 main battery, it's got 4 secondary batteries, and it's got 8 anti-personnel. And then of course if I was doing Mark V, I'd be maxing those out. For movement, it has 45 tread units, so it's got 3 when it's got full 45, then when it drops down to 30, it goes to 2 to 1, etc. So, it's basically, here we're showing 15 times 3, there's 45 threads. So that's the setup for the Mark III. And of course, here's the stats for the different tanks, etc., and infantry. So for setup in the basic scenario, first of all, if you look at the line between these 2 hexes where these craters are on the edge of the board, all but 20 of the attack strength points must be at or behind this line. We're allowed 20 basically to go up here. Set the command unit back here, one that's far north as possible, and defenders allowed 20 points of attack strength for infantry. So basically 20 numbers of total units. So we got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and then 20. And then you're allowed 12 armor units, and a howitzer counts as 2. 2 for the howitzer, 3, 4, 5, 6, adding the GEVs, and then 7, 8, 9, adding the missile tanks, 10, 11, 12, adding the heavy tanks, for your total of 12. And then the Mark III I have coming here in just the center of the board. So that's the setup. Okay, I've gone a few turns here, and I'll show you where I'm at. I'm having the Ogre kind of move, rapidly up here. So I sent an initial force of heavy tanks and missile tanks to meet the Ogre to kind of reduce him before he got to this other force, and this force will kind of be guarding the command post. So there's been damage on both sides. So the Ogre took out a couple of missile tanks and 3 heavy tanks, and he took out a couple of the heavy tanks by ramming them, and when he rammed them he damaged his treads, so he lost 4 treads from 2 rammings. He also launched a missile and then disabled and then ended up destroying with main batteries a heavy tank. So he only has one missile left. And then before he lost his main batteries, he was able to use them to take out, the missile tanks. And the missile tanks were successful in destroying he only had one main battery, and now he lost that, so he doesn't have any left. Since he's a Mark III, only had one. And they're able to destroy, a heavy tank was able to destroy one of his secondaries, so that's been marked down. And then also, I believe a missile tank was able to destroy one of his anti-personnel. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So now we'll go in the sequence. The Ogre moves, and he'll just be coming in quickly here. Then the Ogre fires. Actually, he'll use his missile because he doesn't want it to be destroyed. So he'll go ahead and use that on the GEV, firing his missile at the GEV. His attack is 6. The GEV's defense is 2, so it's a 3-1. 5. And he destroys it. But he has no more missiles. So. And then his secondaries have a range of 2, so there's nothing around there, and there's no infantry around there either. So and then the next would be for defender had units that were disabled. From the previous turn he could recover them, but he doesn't have any that are disabled. So and now the defender moves, and I'll just be moving a infantry with a missile tank and kind of group them together. His range is 4. That would get him in range. I'll just move all these, and these can move twice. Actually, he'll be in range. These others will just stay in position. The missile tank, let's see, he'll fire at the anti-personnel. That's got a defense of 1. It's a 3-1. So unfortunately, he doesn't do any damage. The GEV attack is 2-1. So he's able to knock down one. And then the next turn, he wants to keep moving in. I'm not sure how wise his strategy is, but we'll just see what happens. Because he wants to get to the infantry so he can start using his anti-personnel. And he'll go against a missile tank with his secondaries. 3-2, be 1.5, but to be favorable to the offensive. 2, and no effect, so that wasn't very successful. And now the defenders are going to go. And so let's see what's in range. The GV, he can move in, then he can move out. So he moves, so he's in range. The missile tank has a further range, so he'll back up a little bit. And the infantry will go in there. And then the rest will stay the same. We'll see what happens here. Infantry is going to go at the treads of the Ogre, and that's a 1-1. 5. So he takes out a tread. The GEV then is going to attack, and it would be a 2. He's going to the secondaries. 2-3, 0.7, or 0.66, but we'll round it to 1. 2, no effect. Missile tank is within 4, so he can attack, and it's 3-3, so it's 1-1. 6, took out a secondary, so it's successful. So that's just a couple turns to kind of show how it plays out. So the status then is all the infantry left. There's a howitzer, some missile tanks, GVs left, but the Ogre is down to having just 2 secondaries, 6 anti-personnel. He still has a lot of treads. So that's the situation. Plus Ogre Deluxe Edition from Steve Jackson Games from 1987. The classic game of battle against a merciless robot foe. Very enjoyable game. There's a lot of variation. Obviously the components look really nice. They're not miniatures, but you got these things on stands, which works fine. Graphics look great. I'm glad that you can track everything on the board, and that kind of makes it unique from the other Ogre games, in that in those you need like sheets to mark off, etc. But here it's all on the board in the Ogre Deluxe edition, which I like it. It's limited in the fact that it only has this terrain. There are other more recent Ogre options that have, different terrain, but this has the same terrain as the Pocket Edition. There's enough variability here with everything, so it goes really well. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Thanks a lot.